what's up everybody? How are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another very exciting Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I am your host, Jesus Ramirez. I hope that you're having a wonderful Thursday. It could be Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Let me know in the chat where you're watching from. I'm streaming from the San Francisco Bay Area. I already see a lot of familiar faces in the chat. We have Haiti, Jurgen, Luke, Andreas, Chad, Nicole, Anthony, Ken, Claudia from Print My Soul, Laura, Matthew, Sam Peterson, Matt, Mark. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We got Rick from Kentucky. Awesome. I've never been to Kentucky. I'd love to visit sometimes. We got Kinga, Sean, Judith from NYC, and Sally from Northern Ireland. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys are doing well. So this is the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, where we take you through a set of Photoshop projects so you can sharpen those Photoshop skills. And today we have an exciting project, which is a surreal portrait. We have a very good looking model today, so that's going to be your treat. If you go into the page for the Daily Creative Challenges, let me get you in there into the Daily Creative Challenge page, behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. Make sure that you click on this big blue button right here. It says, hi, your name, and take the challenge. If you click on that button, you'll be notified via the Creative Cloud for these creative challenges. So make sure that you click on this big blue button. I see that you guys are starting to type where you're watching from. We also have Brian from Kentucky. We have Angela from Barcelona, one of my favorite cities. I was just there, I think it was December. Beautiful city. Namaste from India. Thank you so much. Awesome. We have a lot of people in the chat from all over the world. Bradley Beach, New Jersey, Cleveland, Ohio, Texas, hot Florida. Good to see you, Carol. Netherlands. Awesome. A lot of people from all over the world. So thank you guys so much for joining. So once you go into the behance.net/challenge/Photoshop page, you need to scroll down. After you click on the big blue button, of course, you need to scroll down and click on the community chat link. This link right here. And that will bring up the discord.com app or website. You may not have the app, and what you need to do is make sure that you submit your work under current challenges so that we can all see what you guys have come up with during these streams. I'm there, the Adobe mentors are there, so make sure that you check them out. You can see the mentors on the right hand side. We have me, Claudia from Print My Soul, Sam Peterson, Tim Movis, Baldier. So make sure that you come in and share your work. If I scroll up, you'll be able to see some of the challenges. This is the one from yesterday, that perspective 3D pop out effect. Super cool. Oh, this is a really cool one. We have this cheetah jumping out of the TV, and we have a puma here laying on the couch. Really good work. We have awesome work. This is from the first challenge, the Gilded Objects challenge. So yeah, make sure that you come and submit your work. Also, make sure that you submit your work into behance.net. Click on create a project, go through the steps. If you don't know the steps of creating a project, you can watch the welcome screen for this Daily Creative Challenge, and you will be able to see the process. But the important thing is that under the discoverability section, you need to put in a hashtag. The hashtag is PS Daily Challenge, and that will give you an opportunity to be featured in this brand new gallery, which is a curated gallery. So make sure that you check it out and you have a possibility to have your work displayed. And this is not just for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. If you're also doing work with the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge or the XD Daily Creative Challenge, make sure that you use the corresponding hashtags so that you also have an opportunity to have your work featured on this gallery if you're also doing those daily creative challenges. So it's super good. Awesome. Let me see if you guys have any comments or questions. We got Allison from London. Cool. Yeah, so I hope that everything is going okay. We got Francisco from Las Vegas. Awesome. Cesar from Washington, D.C. We got Sarah from Italia. Cool. All right, guys, so let me just get right into the challenge for today. Make sure that you also, when you're in this first page on the behance.net/challenge/Photoshop page, click on the big blue button, check out Discord, but also scroll down and click on the Get Started icon here for the Surreal portrait, right here, this one. So when you click on this, a Dropbox link will open up, and you're gonna have a PSD with 2 layers. This is just me putting a photo of my face, and then one with my hands over it. Like I said, we're gonna have a very, very good looking model today, so your treat. And what we're gonna do is try to recreate the Joyner Lucas album cover. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you just type in Joyner Lucas album cover, you'll see it. It's him with his hands over his face, but his face is coming through his hands. So that's the effect that we're going to recreate, okay? So let me see if there's any questions before we get started. Do you have an Instagram handle? I don't know if that was for me, but if it is for me, JR from PTC is my Instagram. Cool. Yeah, sound is good today. Awesome. Oh, I see that Claudia's mom, Claudia from Print My Soul, her mom is on the chat. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah, so Julie Lucarelli is Claudia's mom. So everybody say hi to Claudia's mom. She's always in the chat as well. She actually got kicked out of the chat once for typing in Italian. The moderators had to kick her out. She was causing way too many problems. But anyway, this is the project that we're going to work with. We have 2 layers, like I said. I just 2 photos of me. I took them with my cell phone. Just like a selfie basically. So you guys are welcome to use these files, of course, for the challenge, but I recommend that you stand up against the white wall. Either somebody can take a picture for you or set a timer and then just take a photo just of your face. Same position, put your hands over your face and then take another photo, and that's it. It doesn't have to be perfect, as you'll see. We're going to be able to manipulate the images a little later on. So what we're going to do is first work with the image on top, the one labeled portrait number 2. And what we want to do is isolate the hands. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool for that. So right here in the toolbar, quick selection tool. And you can click and drag over the hands here. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. You can hold Alt on Windows, Option on the Mac, click and drag to subtract from the selection. And just do the best that you can. You're going to be able to fine-tune the mask a little later on, of course. So I'm just going here fairly quickly, but still trying to do a good job. And since the skin tones are very similar here, Photoshop is having trouble finding the edges, but that's okay. It's not a big problem. And what I'm going to do now is press the Q key on the keyboard, the letter Q for quick, to enter the quick mask mode. Anything that in red is not selected, and anything that has a normal pixel color is selected. So what you want to do is zoom in and then select the brush tool. Black hides. So we paint with black, we make the overlay red, which means we're hiding those pixels. And if we paint with white, we reveal pixels, which means that they will not be selected. Or that they will be selected, I'm sorry. That they will be showing is what I'm trying to say. And I'm going to just paint with white to reveal some areas. And when you're doing this, it's a really good idea to have I'm right-handed, so I have my left hand on the keyboard. And what I have my finger on the X key, because the X key allows you to swap the foreground and background color. So if you see here like right there, that's where my background color is. I can touch it right there. So notice that if I tap the X key, it swaps. So I'm using my right hand to paint and my left hand to swap those two. So right now is white, so I'm revealing pixels, but then if I make a mistake, go like that, I can press X and then fix that mistake. So it's a really fast way to work. And then I also have my other finger on the space bar, so I can just pan the image. And obviously I don't want to spend so much time fine-tuning the image here because there's so much more we got to cover today. And you guys can do the fine details on your own photo. I just want to make sure that have a good enough selection. Then I can press the Q key again and then bring back the marching ants, and I can click on the layer mask icon. And now if I double click on the hand tool, you'll see that I have the hands here in one single layer. Pretty cool, right? and I'm going to double click on the zoom tool and then zoom in. And I want to bring back some of the shadows on my fingers touching my face. So what I'll do is I'll select the brush tool, make it a little bit larger, make sure that hardness is set to 0. That should be about the large, yeah, that's a good size right here. And I'm going to paint with white to reveal the shadows. See how I'm just revealing the shadows that are touching my skin right there? Selectively bringing those back. Like so. Super cool stuff. And I noticed that I accidentally brought back some shadows here that I don't like. I just used the bracket keys in the keyboard to adjust the brush size. The bracket keys are right next to the letter P, to the right of the letter P in North American keyboards. And I'll tap in the X key to swap my foreground and background color and erase this shadow. So this is my result so far. What I'll do now is right click, and actually I'll rename the layer. I always like to keep my layers organized. So I'll just call this layer hands, and then I'll right click and convert it into a smart object, but I'm going to leave that there for now. We're going to come back to it in a moment. What I'm going to do now is outline the face. I'm going to make a face container so that my hands could go in there. And the way that I'm going to do that is by using the curvature pen tool. So from the toolbar, you can go into the curvature pen tool. And this step is super easy. All you have to do is just click and follow the outline of your face, in this case my face, like so. And it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, you can fine tune it later if you need to. Don't spend too much time, like so. And then you can click and drag on these points. See how I'm just clicking and dragging on these points to adjust them. And if you like made a point that you didn't intend to make, just select it and then tap the backspace key on Windows, the delete key on the Mac, and it goes away. So just adjust them like so. Pretty easy, as you can see. Cool. Then I'm going to create a group. So I'm going to click on this icon, and with my new group selected, I'm going to hold the control key on Windows, that's the command key on a Mac, and click on the layer mask icon to create a vector mask. So a vector mask is kind of like a layer mask, but instead of using pixels to hide, we're using vectors, mathematical equations. So I can now drag this hands layer into this group, and I'll call this group inside face. Cool. So now I can move the hands inside of the face. Looks pretty cool, right? You can even make an animation out of this if you want. Pretty cool stuff. But anyway, so now let me show you one thing actually. So let me zoom in, and in some images, depending on the depth of field that you use or all these different types of photos that you may have, you may not necessarily want a sharp line. It may not look good. If you want to soften the edges of a vector mask, what you need to do is click on the vector mask, and then in the properties panel, if you don't see it, you can go into window and properties, and it pops right up. You can click on this feather slider. So see how the edges are blurrier down here? So that may actually look better in this case because this area is not really that sharp. So I may need to just blur it a little bit so that it blends better with the actual face. Cool. So that looks pretty good. What I'll do now is I'll create a black and white adjustment layer on top of everything else so that we have a black and white image. Then I can go into my hands layer, this one here, and you can go into the overlay blending mode, and it gives you that effect you see there. I just saw somebody in the chat write that they were lost. It's okay, they're all being recorded, so no worries. I can briefly explain how we got to this point. So the first step was to mask the hands, right? I used the layer mask to mask the hands, and they put them in their own layer. Then I used the curvature pen tool to trace along the face, and then with that path, I made a vector mask. By the way, something that I probably should have mentioned is that if you select the curvature pen tool and you have shape selected, you're going to get a different result. So I'm glad somebody asked the question, because I don't want to create a shape. See that? See how it created a shape? I don't want that. I want to be in the path drop down. So when you create something, you'll create a path, not a shape. See the difference? A shape creates a vector shape, and actually making it inside the mask, that's why you can't see it, but it's filled in with black, and I could add a stroke to it if I wanted to, but you know, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to have a stroke or anything like that. I just want to have a path, right? So that's the important part. Cool. So now with the hands layer selected, what you want to do is now just adjust it, right? So Control T, Command T to transform, and you can move it anywhere that you want. And if you're following the actual album cover, like the line it goes straight up his face. In this case, I didn't do that good of a job. So what you can do is click on this pivot point. It's actually called a reference point. I call it the pivot point, and it allows you to place it anywhere and pivot like so. For some reason, in Photoshop 2020, Adobe decided to hide that pivot point, so it's not active by default. So you need to click on it here in the options bar on the top left, and that enables that pivot point. You see that? And then you can just place it anywhere that you want, and then rotate from or scale from that pivot point like so. You can also right click and select warp, and you can warp your image. I'm going to add a split, this vertical split, and just place it right here, right in the middle, and I can adjust it accordingly so that my fingers are right on top of my face like so. And you can adjust it any way that you want. And actually, maybe I need to move this to the right so I can bring my thumb in. You know, totally up to you. This is all very subjective, how you want to apply the effect. And I just want to make sure I get my thumbs in there. That's it. And then I also have a straight line going up my face like so. Cool. Before, after. Now there's one more thing that I think that you guys should try. Like in this case, you know, I shot it with my cell phone. There was like some light coming in, and like one side of my face is really blown out. So what you want to do is sort of darken that up a little bit. And the way that you would do that is by selecting the hands layer and going into the curves adjustment layer and clipping it to the layer below by clicking this icon right here. You see this icon? When you do that, the adjustment layer will not affect the entire layer. It would just affect the layer directly below it, which in this case is the hands layer. So what I'll do is I'll darken it up. And I know the left-hand side is looking really, really dark. That's okay, not a big deal. I'm mainly concerned about the thumb, index finger, and middle finger of the bright side of the face. And that's really what I'm looking at. So like, you know, maybe right about here. And then with that layer mask selected in the properties panel, I can click on invert. It hides everything. And then with the brush tool, painting with white, again using a soft brush, and I'm making the brush larger by tapping on the bracket keys on the keyboard, I can paint with white to make that side darker. See that? Before and after. And what I can do now, it looks like I didn't do a good job masking here. I can see that I kind of have a line there. I can always go back and edit the mask. But I'm not going to do that because I want to have a little more time to show you a couple more things. We have about, I don't know, what is it, 3-4 minutes left. But anyway, you can now, from this point, do one thing that's going to be counterintuitive. You want to hide the black and white layer mask, or I'm sorry, adjustment layer, because you want to now put these two layers into a smart object. So right click, convert into a smart object, and I'm going to work with the camera raw filter to work with this as if it were a single image. So if I go into filter, camera raw filter, I can make it black and white from here. So I'll click on black and white here. There you go. It brings us right back to where we were. And now this gives me more control over the highlights and shadows of this photo. So it's totally up to you. From here, you could also do local adjustments. You know, maybe you think, if you think the left-hand side is too dark, you can paint with it here and make sure that you reset the local correction settings and then just adjust whatever it is that you think you need to adjust. You know, like so. And I probably would add just a tiny little bit of texture, then go into, actually I'm not in the basic panel, so I'm going to go back into the basic panel and then add a little bit of texture here. A little bit of texture, a little bit of clarity, which is contrast in the midtones, and then I can go into the sharpening, click and drag the sharpening slider to the right, Then you can hold Alt on Windows, Option on the Mac, and click on the masking slider to concentrate the sharpening effect to my face and not the background or anywhere else. I'm not going to do this, but if you want to, you can go into the split toning and add maybe a color to the shadows and then a different color to the highlights. Totally up to you if you want to do that. For me, I don't think it's necessary for the effect that I'm going for, but that may be something that you might want to try for your portrait. Then I can go into the effects tab, and from here, you guys know I'm going to add a little bit of grain. I love adding grain to images, and then I'll create a vignette, and then I'll press OK, and we have our surreal portrait. I have a couple more minutes, so I'm going to go into the chat and see if there are any questions. Cool. AG Creative, what was the artist and the album cover again? The artist is Joyner Lucas. I cannot remember the name of the album, HADHD or something like that. But yeah, just type in Joyner Lucas, and it's his latest album, and you'll see the inspiration for this daily creative challenge. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so let me know in the chat if you are enjoying this effect. I'd love to know your thoughts, and also make sure that you try it out. It's not that difficult. Basically is really 3 steps. Mask the face, then turn the masked face into a layer with the overlay blending mode, then create a face mask and put that into a group, put the hands inside of that group, and then make a black and white adjustment layer, and you're pretty much done. Everything else is just really fine-tuning. So I really look forward to seeing your work on both Discord and on Behance. So again, behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. Make sure you click on the big blue button, then go on to the community chat, and from here under current challenge, make sure that you submit your portraits. I would love to see the work that you create. Also, make sure that you create a new project, and under discoverability, make sure that you use the hashtag #PSDailyChallenge, so that you can have an opportunity to be featured in the Creative Challenges gallery. This is a curated gallery with super cool projects, and I would love to see your work in here as well. So make sure that you do that. It's almost time for me to go, but before I go, I just want to mention that we have a fun-filled day, as we usually do. We started the day with Jesse Schulwater doing the getting started with Adobe XD. Then we have me, and right after me we have Andrea Lareau doing photo retouching. Then we have Andrew, as usual, doing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. And make sure you use the hashtag on the Daily Creative Challenge projects that you work on, so you can also have an opportunity to be featured in the Creative Challenges gallery. Then we have Stephanie doing editorial design. My good pal Howard Pinsky doing the Adobe XD Creative Challenge. Again, use the hashtag so you can be featured in the gallery with that creative challenge as well. Then we have a draw along with Kyle T. Webster, and we're going to end the day with Voodoo Val and Brandon doing a design off. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed having you here with me today. I'll see you again tomorrow for another daily creative challenge. Also, actually, before I let you go, just want to make sure everyone here knows. Please, Discord. This is where we want to see those portraits. So, submit your portrait and make sure that you do it either today or tomorrow. Doesn't really have to be today, but I would really love to see your work. So, Discord is the place to submit your work. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. All right, guys. See you.